You can start. Happy Monday, everybody! It is Monday Night Baseball. Our style, 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Pleased to be joined by George Icorn and JT Talk. We are your regulars on this show, and when there's a guest, we will let you know it as well. So, with that said, before I talk about my two partners here, let me go over some topics that we're going to address. We're going to talk about Billy Eppler, the former New York Mets general manager, two-time Cy Young Award winner Corey Kluber, a couple of former Detroit Tigers that have found homes, Oakland A's hiring Jenny Cavnar, and we'll talk about the Giants signing of Jorge Soler, the former Miami Marlin. With that said, let me bring in the dynamic duo next to me. And the first one is one that I've known a long time, George Icorn. Welcome back to...
Good to be back talking baseball, Scott and JT.
Yeah, there you go. Segue. All right, JT, he introduced you. Now you can, I know you're very busy at this time of the year, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit with the draft stuff going on, but always able to talk some baseball. Now spring training's in full force. We're getting close to game time. I think I just saw a post the other day that this will be the last Sunday that we just went past with no baseball till November. So,
wow,
let's get ready for it. Get ready for some baseball.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Well, think about it. Well, let me just let everybody know what my weekend was about. Candy and I had the good pleasure of going up to Tampa, where the University of South Florida hosted Florida Atlantic University, and what a basketball game that was. And I had the good pleasure of meeting USF athletic director Michael Kelly and did an interview that will be released, that actually has been released on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed already, there's a great interview with USF Bulls athletic director Michael Kelly, and we have a lot of other interviews as well from the game, so that'll be on there. Let me just go over some real basic company info, then we'll get right to the topics. First of all, 108 Stitches Baseball Talk is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. So there you go. Looking forward to having a lot of people in there. We'll go over some of the information now. We'll break it up a little bit later. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? Let's get that chat room rolling. That's one way to do it. Or send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Finally, okay, if you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. I'll get to the rest of it in a moment. Let's get to the topics right now. Former New York Mets general manager Billy Eppler is on the ineligible list for 2024 for violating injured list placements, according to Commissioner Rob Manfred. And he'll come off that list after the World Series. Okay, do you think, JT, that punishment was suitable?
If they were consistent with the punishments, I would say, yeah. I think every sport has this problem. We just saw Kadarius Toney screaming out loud that he wasn't hurt, and the Chiefs kept talking about him being an injured player, and I think every team in every sport has a way of fabricating injuries, especially baseball with a 26-man roster. I believe that this is happening a lot more than not Billy Eppler. So as long as Major League Baseball is consistent with the punishments, I have no problem with this, honestly. I just think that there's a lot more that meets the eye. I think a lot of teams does this, especially if especially in the old days too, with the extra inning games. When you play a 15-inning game, how many times did you see a relief pitcher magically hurt his arm in that game so he can call up a young kid that didn't throw? So my opinion is that Major League Baseball needs to be consistent with their punishments, and I don't have a lot of faith that they will be, being honest.
George?
Well, yeah, I was kind of surprised. I didn't know that this was something that was going on. I'm not in favor of it at all. Obviously, it's called cheating. And, AJ Hinch, lost his job and general manager of the Houston Astros. And we all know what happened there. Very severe punishment for cheating. So, I mean, I agree with you saying, JT, but I think baseball is trying to be consistent when it's such a blatant type of thing like this, and you're monkeying around with injury lists and unable to play and unable to perform lists. And you're right though. I mean, if this is going on, other teams are doing it. I think what happens is sometimes if the first guy, they're going to hit hard. They're going to hit him hard. So I'm not trying to see. I don't know the record of any time that an executive has been fudging lists or getting caught or not. All I'm saying is that because he was caught, and this is something they really want to get rid of and clamp down on, odds are that they were going to definitely do. Now, that being said, a long suspension. That being said, does he have any kind of hope to go to an arbitrator or a judge or any kind of hearing or anything like that? I don't know, to try to lessen it, perhaps. But the fact of the matter is I think, part of this is they're setting the example that these managers and front office executives mostly shouldn't play around and fool around with stuff like this, injured lists and who's healthy and who's not, etc.
Yeah, I don't see where he could go to an arbitrator. You're talking about an executive here. We're not talking about a player. We have a players association. So the reality is Mr. Eppler is going to spend 2024 watching baseball like the rest of us. Okay, he's going to be watching it on TV. Who knows if he'll be making contacts? It's not like second chances aren't going to be given, because they do. But, or let's face the reality, this happens in the NFL all the time. Hiding players, they have so many different injury classifications: questionable, doubtful, out. And what was the other one a long time ago? And then nobody knows what any of the terms really mean. Anyway.
Yeah.
So as far as
taxi
Mr.
squad.
Eppler, it's just pretty much
Yeah.
taking a year off, and not like he hadn't made any money, so he'll be hanging out at the golf course. Or nowadays, everybody with all these big TVs are going to be watching it anyways, and go from there. I mean, I didn't know AJ Hinch was going to get rehired, and was it Joey Cora got hired right away? By the Red Sox again?
Yeah.
So I mean, or was it Joey or Alex? I don't know. It was a Cora anyways. Help me out a little bit, but either way, the guy did come back nevertheless, and poor Ron Renicky was only there for 1 year, and then he was out, and then another Cora took his job back again. But no, in all fairness, there's no way. He's just gonna have to sit it out and pay the price. So, all right, onwards we go. 2-time Cy Young Award winner Corey Kluber retires after 13 years. His win-loss record's 116, 77, 3.44 earned run average with 5 teams. 3-time All-Star, 2 Cy Youngs. Pitched a no-hitter on May 19th, 2021 for the Yankees. All right, we're going to go back to JT. What are your thoughts about Mr. Kluber?
I thought Kluber was a solid number, like I would envision him as a solid number 3 guy, maybe a 2 guy throughout his career. He won 18 3 times actually. Won 18 3 times, won 20 1 time. So he had some really big seasons, but I would say after his 33, 34-year-old season, he just couldn't stay healthy. He did throw that no-hitter, like you said, which was sort of out of nowhere for him. That was basically in his twilight of his career, but I thought he had a solid career. I mean, Cleveland especially, he was Cleveland's go-to guy. But I would put him as one of Cleveland's better pitchers during their runs in the early 2000s. He was solid. He was a guy that didn't really overpower you, but he did. Like, you don't think of him as being a guy that threw hard or had great stuff, but he threw. He had 1, 2, 4, he had 5 years in a row of over 200 strikeouts. He was a guy that had some good stuff, and I think he made the most of what he was given, baseball was.
And George?
Yeah, I think I echo a lot of those sentiments. He had a very good career, not an outstanding career, of course, but by today's standards, he had a very good career, and And just like you said, JT, I mean, his best days were as a Cleveland Indian. Trust me, the local fans here in Detroit saw a lot of him, and most of the time it was a loss for the Tigers when they went up against him in his heyday. You mentioned the Cy Young, two Cy Young awards he won, and that no hitter. I think he had a very steady career. And obviously not enough for any kind of Hall of Fame consideration, but the Indians probably may retire his number someday. I don't know, or honor him in some special way. But I always liked him. I admired him because, like I said, whenever I saw him here, he's facing the team, the Tigers, and he usually pitched pretty darn well. and I really remember some of those games where he was lights out. So he had a great run, and it had to end unfortunately with the Red Sox. And last year was his last year, so he's doing probably the wise thing is to end it now.
And he had a nice
Well,
run in
George,
the middle of his career too, with five years in a row. He threw over 200 innings. You're not going to see that anymore from these pitchers nowadays. So he was a workhorse. He was a guy that would go deep into games, and I didn't get to see him quite as much as I probably would have liked. I mean, being in Pittsburgh, we got to play Cleveland one series a year. Usually we did that rivalry matchup once a year. But I agree. I think he'll be a guy that's on the Hall of Fame ballots where you'll see getting votes, but he's not good enough to get in the Hall of Fame though.
well, the Hall of Fame is going to get will be the Cleveland Indians Hall of Fame is what he'll get into.
Yeah.
Every team usually has their own whether it's a Ring of Honor, Hall of Fame, whatever you want to call it. He'll get there. And you're right. By today's standards, he wasn't innings eater. But I talk about today's standards. Again, George, you saw him play some clutch ball for the Indians, and look at his record. I mean, he's still, when you look at it, it's not bad. 3-time All-Stars, and anything to feel bad about. 2 young Cy Young awards and a no-hitter. Now, I guess the closest thing he'll get to Cooperstown is he'll be recognized as one of the pitchers that threw a no-hitter, which will segue to another topic that I have in a moment. So, and with that said, let me just go ahead and continue on some of the company information. And just so you folks know that if you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website's www.southfloridatribune.com, Twitter/@Tribune South. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes as well as producing. And I do have a book out there called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders, Old School Media versus New School Media. It's available on Kindle and Amazon, continuing on. So, yeah, again, when you talk about today's standards, and now that's what we have to judge everything on, no matter what. We can't talk about the dead ball era, can we? We can't talk about the 50s or 60s. We're talking about the era of Tommy John surgeries, guys working out in the weight room. And even Josh Hader went on record saying that he's not doing any more 2 or 3 inning saves anymore. He'd rather go to a 1-inning save. Although to Josh Hader's credit, okay, he's trying to save his arm a little bit for the long haul, but he was effective in both roles. And Josh Hader's the type of guy that could have competed in any era. And why am I bringing Hader up? Well, it's because of the fact that Kluber has nice stats for this era. Again, doesn't sniff Cooperstown in terms of getting in as inducted, but is no hitter well. All right. Well, you know what? I did segue about the no hitters, so we're going to talk about 2 former Detroit Tigers. At least this time, George doesn't have to mention the Detroit reference because I'll do it for him. But there will be new homes for Michael Fullmer, who has signed a minor league deal with the Boston Red Sox, and Spencer Turnbull of the Phillies gets 1 year, $2 million. He'll be with Dave Dombrowski, and yes, he is in Cooperstown because he has a no-hitter to his credit. George, what are your thoughts briefly about these 2 moves? Fullmer to the Red Sox, and of course, Turnbull with the Phillies.
Yeah, Fullmer, of course, had the Tommy John surgery, and he was American League Rookie of the Year. So when he was with Detroit, he had a couple of really good seasons, especially his rookie year. He was an innings eater, and he fit in right well. This was after, of course, guys like Verlander and Scherzer and those guys were gone. But I mean, I like the fella. I mean, he's a good ball player. He's good in the clubhouse. Michael Fullmer, then he adjusted and became a pretty decent relief pitcher. I just think that the Tigers obviously were going in a different direction. They didn't want to continue with, you know, whether he was going to make it back or not. So, I mean, they gave him, you know, Minnesota's given him a chance. I'm glad that. As far as Spencer
Well,
Turnbull, again,
well,
another fellow that I,
Sure.
go ahead.
Fulmer's going to the Boston Red Sox, not Minnesota.
Oh,
Just want to make sure.
I'm sorry, Scott. Yeah,
It's
the Red
okay.
Sox, not the
No
Twins.
problem.
And then you mentioned, of course, Spencer Turnbull and obviously the Dave Dombrowski connection with former GM. I mean, president of the Tigers, Dave was. But I don't know if that had much to do with it because, again, here's another fellow that had to have surgery. Tigers didn't want to bring him back. They have a tendency. A lot of teams have a tendency of doing that. You know, they'll let guys go after that many times, unless you're really, really special, like Hall of Famer, like Verlander or somebody like that. But again, he had some good stuff for a while. I that no hitter pretty much caught me and other observers off guard. We didn't think Spencer Turnbull had it in him to be a no hit pitcher. But that being said, like you said, Scott, he's got a place now on the display at Cooperstown with the no hitter. So I wish both fellows well. I don't know what they're going to get out of them. Hopefully, some innings and relief, but I do wish them well.
All right, let's go to the chat room. Candy Ebling has a good stat on Michael Fullmer. Okay, 2-year pact, but isn't expected to pitch. I believe she means until 2025. So they're not expecting anything out of him. The thing I'll make mention about before I turn over to JT though, is right. Okay, he wasn't expected to pitch in 2024. Injuries have always he's been injury riddled. He reminds me of today's Dennis Eckersley and John Smoltz, where he can either go in the bullpen or as a starter, a combo guy. So, but that said, I'll turn it over to JT and let's evaluate. And then I'll go back. Well, let me just say this: Spencer Turnbull, obviously, 2 guys, good stuff. Injury histories, not good. Okay, now JT.
Fulmer, I mean, yeah, you look at what he's done in his career. He won the Rookie of the Year, starting pitcher for 3 or 4 seasons in the major leagues, and he turned himself into a quality middle relief pitcher, which is always nice to have on teams. Boston's taking a chance on him for the future that he'll be able to throw out of their pen, but guy has good stuff. From what I remember too, I've always been in it's called a simulated baseball league where you draft year in and year out. I've been in it for 23 years. So I remember the year that Michael Fullmer came out and we got to draft him. He was one of the higher guys to go in the draft, and he had a couple really good seasons. And I don't think nothing wrong with that pick. The Spencer Turnbull going to the Phillies. I sort of like what the Phillies are doing here with this chance. This kid's been hurt most of his career, but if you look at what he's done, minus the last season when he got hit pretty hard for Detroit in his 7 starts, he's done pretty well. In 2020 with the Tigers, he had a 3.97 and 11 starts. And then in 21 he had a 2.88 and 9 starts. So this guy, even the year he went 3-17, he still had a 4.61 ERA. The guy ain't a guy. He's a guy that can throw the ball. He's a former 2nd-round pick. The Phillies do a good job of picking guys up like this that you think may be at the end of their playing days or maybe not have anything in the tank. And this is this is a pick that I would have liked to see my team take. Just a guy that you take a chance on and maybe he starts to find it. Because I mean, he has pedigree. There's no doubt about it. And both of these guys should hopefully they do well in their new spots. And Fullmer coming back from an injury and Turnbull he's 1 year out from a pretty bad surgery as well. So good luck to both of them. And I like Spencer Turnbull. I like the signing a lot for just a little minor league signing. There's nothing wrong with the signing at all.
Well, I'll say one thing about Spencer Turnbull. One of the most interesting things that's ever happened with him, throws that no hitter. I asked Don Mattingly a question on a Zoom call. Said all these no-nos are great, but baseball's not in a good place. And one of the Marlins beat people picked it up, put it on his Twitter page. I think got 392,000 hits at the time. Anything that Don Mattingly says about baseball is viral, and everybody knows about Don Mattingly. When you hear Don Mattingly talk, you listen and you watch. So Spencer, well, and the guy was so nice. His name was Craig Mesh. He said, you know, Scotty, that was your voice in the background. And then he sent me the clip and I put it on the South Florida Tribune. And Craig is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet anyway. So
I wanted to
Spencer,
add, Scott, just one other thing. That was a 2-year deal that Fullmer signed, by the way, with Boston. But it's called a 2-year minor league deal. Yep.
Okay. Well, that's fine. It's a 2-year deal, minor league. Well, it's a low risk move no matter how you slice it.
Right. Originally drafted by the Mets. They picked him in the first round. The Mets did, not the Tigers. He was traded for Cespedes. Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was just about to ask you. So, no, that's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for providing that information. But back to Turnbull. Hey, Craig Mish, Turnbull, Don Mattingly, potent situation. I learned a lot about technology and I understood what viral meant after that. So I wish both players well and their change of sceneries. We'll see what happens. This time of the year where you can get bargain basement players, give them another chance, and you go from there. 2 other things I want to get to tonight. Oakland A's hired Jenny Cavnar as their new primary play-by-play announcer. She's the first woman to be a primary play-by-play in MLB history. Now I think the recent news coming out of Oakland is they could be staying in Oakland until the Vegas stadium is built. So, you know, John, the only advice I still have for you is, okay, don't buy a house. You might want to rent one if you're not already there. But the reality, but I'm happy for her. So, JT, let's talk about John.
I'm happy. I mean, it's all starting. It's changing slowly. It's way within its time for these females to get jobs and in the sports world like they are. Like I find it it's almost automatic when I watch an NBA game now. I see a female referee. I think we're going to you're starting to see some teams hiring baseball people as well that are in the dugout and doing things like that. So I mean I'm a guy that believes that everything we're all one. I have no fear if a female starts taking over a guy's job. I think it's great. If she knows the game and loves the game, and she has passion announcing the game, and then I love it. I mean, if you love baseball, I don't care what you are, who you are, what color you are, just do your thing and enjoy it. And I'm glad for Oakland. I think Oakland's that's good. I mean, Oakland is having their problems. I think it's a great hire for what's going on in their background. They have a lot, like you mentioned with the stadium. I did hear Sacramento possibly might be a year or 2 they could play in Sacramento. I didn't get real involved in that, but they got a lot going on. I think it's a great signing.
All right, before I turn over to George, one woman that I really think you could hear down the road, her name is Kelly Stacko, spelled S-A-C-O. She actually played softball, I believe, at Syracuse University. She's been with the Marlins for a while. She obviously serves as a reporter down there. I've seen her in the booth from time to time. Watch out for the name Kelly Stacko. You know, she's a very attractive woman, but more importantly, she's very knowledgeable about baseball and one of the nicer people you'll ever meet. I've gotten to know her real well. And I'm sure that there's a lot of other females that are qualified for the play-by-play position. Definitely. But as far as Jennifer is concerned, more power to her. If you can get a job doing play-by-play and MLB and somebody thinks you're good enough to do it, I wish her well. All right, George.
Well, there's no question that becoming a play-by-play broadcaster in any of the 4 major sports for a woman is very difficult to get into. We know that for a fact. I mean, it's not just Major League Baseball. It's the NBA. It's the NHL. It's, the NFL. So what they've done is they've made tremendous progress, as we know, the sideline reporter role or in the stands analysis, whatever you want to call that. Many, many very good female announcers have got that and have had that position. But that's not fair to them. That's not enough. That's not to say that Erin Andrews wants to be a play-by-play broadcaster. I don't know that.
Right.
There's a lot of women that probably maybe don't have that ambition. But for her to get that job and her to be hired by the Oakland Athletics, and I don't care about, has nothing to do with whether they're moving or staying. To me, she has earned that right and gotten that plum position, if you will. And it is a very, very difficult position, as we all know. 162 game grind, spring or training either in Arizona or Florida. If you're fortunate enough to get postseason action, it's a long 9 months, definitely, and 8, 9 months. So I give her credit though; she's been working at it hard. The Tigers, now get this, not until last season, I'm talking 2023, did they introduce a female on their broadcast team in a regular role. And Daniela Bruce does the job very, very well. And she does a lot of features. She does a lot of interaction sometimes with Dan Dickerson. But I'm just saying that's how long a team, for example, took 2023. But that being said, there's lots of opportunity. There's lots of openings. And I give her credit. I'm looking forward to hearing her. And I'm also going to keep the name that you gave us, Scott, for the Marlins announcer too, and hope for one day for her to get a break and get into play-by-play as well.
Yeah, folks, I'll mention it one more time in case you're just joining us. Her name is Kelly, Kelly Stacco, Sacco. She's a dynamo. She really, really is. And I've watched her a lot. I see the way she asks questions when we're doing our media availabilities, and she's just a remarkable baseball person. That's a name to watch out for. All right, last thing we're going to talk about, San Francisco Giants signing Jorge Soler to a 3-year, $42 million contract. Marlins had him. I was impressed with Jorge. Hated to see him go. But Giants needed some help offensively. Biggest thing was Soler is he has to stay healthy. One year he wasn't healthy with the Marlins, but then we saw what Soler could be like, enabling the Miami Marlins to make it to the postseason last year. With that said, you're in the National League, JT. You obviously see the Marlins a little bit more than, a lot of Detroiters do. Some thoughts about Soler going to the Bay.
I like this signing. I did a piece on him a couple days ago, actually, and people forget he was an MVP of the World Series for the Atlanta Braves. He got picked up by the Braves halfway through the season and hit 3 go-ahead home runs. He was the first player in Major League history to hit a home run in his first World Series at bat. I like him, and they're going to put him as a DH. The guy has enough. He has a great arm, and he still is athletic enough. He could play a corner position, but they have Conforto and Yastrzemski in the corner outfield spots, and they just, of course, signed the kid from Japan, Jung-Hoo Lee in center. Will be interesting to see what they got there. But this team lacks power. They have no power on this team. They were I want to say 24th in the major leagues last year in home runs. And he's going to be their cleanup hitter. They have for the Giants, this is an unproven lineup, really. I mean, they have a lot of question marks. Estrada at second base. You got Wilmer Flores playing third base. You got Patrick Bailey, who a good young catcher, but he's still coming into his own. This team's in a transition period, so Soler will be a nice power bat for them in the middle of the lineup. I like the signing, and I like the way he played with the Marlins last year. I mean, that was his second best year. He had 48 homers one year in the American League, and he came back and hit 36 last year, I want to say. So he's got power, he's got pop, but like you said, he's got to stay healthy, and being in a DH position for majority of the season should help him stay healthy.
Yeah, I'll be surprised how the Marlins do without him, because again, the Marlins have always been able to produce strong pitching, but offensively, we've had some issues down here. We really have. But again, 3-year, $42 million. The Marlins are spending like $78 million. They're near the bottom of the baseball salary list, so you wonder whether they could have fitted him in. I don't know.
Well, he jumped out of his option. I believe he took his option and he opted out. Like he opted out on his own. So I'm not sure if he gave them did he give him a fair shake? Because I know when I was reading about the transaction, that he opted out of his contract with the Marlins because he had another year left on the he had another year left on the contract because he signed a 3-year deal.
He gambled on himself is what he did, JT, and obviously you saw he wanted in the Bay Area. I'm with you all the way. I really am. He gambled on himself. It worked. And guess what? He gets to play for Bob Melvin. Not the worst thing in the world either. We all know Bob Melvin's one of the best managers in baseball. So, no, I'm with you all the way. No doubt about that. All right, George, go ahead.
Well, I think one of the things that he's always struggled with is strikeouts. Even when he was with Kansas City, he hit those 48 home runs, 117 RBIs. struck out 178 times. And that's why his lifetime average of 243 is what it is, because he does swing some some bad pitches sometimes. 141 strikeouts with the Marlins last year, but like you guys said, he provided a lot of power. Those 36 home runs, 75 ribbies. I think it's a good pickup for San Francisco. I mean, they were way behind. Very disappointing year last year, as we know. 21 games behind the division champion Los Angeles Dodgers. So San Francisco is a good place for him. Maybe not quite as much pressure, but that being said, obviously they're looking for improvement as a team, as a whole, which is going to be it's a very difficult division to win. But no, I think it's a good pickup for the Giants. I think he'll fit in good and give them some pop that they need. Like you mentioned, JT, they don't have that many much power hitting in that lineup, and I'm all happy for them. And then, like you said, Scott, though, I mean, it is a loss for the Marlins still. I mean, you take a bat like that out of the lineup, you're definitely losing something there. So I really think it's more of a win, obviously, for the Giants by far. But we'll see how things go.
Well, reality is Giants aren't afraid to spend money, and they have
Right.
proven that they will in the past. Marlins obviously are much, they're on a fixed budget. They know what they can afford with their break-even period, regardless of what the luxury tax total,
Yeah.
where they get an infusion of money. They have to. The Marlins' whole thing is they develop players. What they do, keep them around as long as they can. And if there's a guy that they can go to a longer-term contract, that they will do it. Not like which is more so better under this regime than it had been in the past. But we'll have to see. But I do think that Soler's in a good spot. But that concludes this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. So, JT, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, get a hold of me, www.draft412.com, www.draftnation.com, coming very soon. We're finishing up the final touches as we go over. We have our guys in Carolina, Draft Carolina, the Draft 317 in Indy. We're going to be at the Combine coming up. You can get a hold of me at jt@draft412.com. And Scott, I got to figure out how far you are going to be away from me. I'll be in some little town outside of Bradenton. I can't remember the name, but my cousin lives there. I'll be staying with her for 10 days. So maybe we can hook up for a beer and talk some baseball.
I have news for you. I just came from Tampa. You think Bradenton's a walk in the park for me, pal. Don't make any difference. And I drove 4 hours hard into major rain yesterday to get with you in Bradenton. Give me advance notice on the dates, and we'll see what we can do to get together and take a couple pictures, and maybe we'll even do a 5 or 10 minute show just to have a little bit of fun with it as well. So now I look forward to that, JT. And I also want to send a special thank you for your help on promoting our material on social media. That's what it's all about. We're all trying to build a brand, to collaborate collectively, and you've been a great addition to what we're doing. Plus, also, you're a heck of a commentator on baseball, which is something that I was looking for, and you fit the bill. All right, Miss the other author in this group. Go ahead, Icorn.
Okay, you can read my work at the South Florida Tribune under the Motor City Tribune banner. At the end of that column, you'll see a little tag that can connect you with looking at my book. If you like to buy one, Amazon.com, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. You can follow me here on many of these stations, 108 Stitches, Pundits Pundit, the Sports Exchange, Fire Up Show, everywhere, where Scott needs me. And we've got a great association, him and I going, approaching 45 years now. So it's really great to be able to talk sports. You can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com or on LinkedIn under my name, or on X or Twitter, SandG Sports 99. So great being part of the show tonight again, guys, and talking baseball.
Oh, great to have you on as always. Yeah, you're very versatile, and I know you come on when we need you, wherever we need you. So one thing about that's important here is we want people to be very versatile, promote the brand as well, but more importantly, have fun. And that's what it's all about. Our goal is educate and inform. Just to give you a Cliff Notes version of how to reach us, just go to www.southfloridatribune.com. And again, our broadcasts are aired on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and the rest. And of course, we have the audio version circulating amongst iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google. Everything you're going to find, on us is through our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. And one more last reference in case you're joining us about my book. It's called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders, Old School Media versus New School Media. And it's available on Kindle and Amazon. Anybody that's aspiring to get into media can learn from it, or those individuals that wonder how it used to be can definitely gain. So it's a read for everybody out there. Once again, it is available on Amazon and Kindle. We will be working on the audio book at some particular point, but that'll come later this year. I have other book ideas I want to address as well. I do want to thank over the weekend the folks at the University of South Florida, my alma mater, for their hospitality with Candy, Eppler, and I over the weekend. And I take a lot of pride with my alma mater, and it was just a fun weekend where we got a lot accomplished. So there'll be some updates on the South Florida YouTube channel with videos that came out of that. So on behalf of George Icorn and JT Talk, my name is Scott Morgan, Rock Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. We'll see you next Monday night. Have a great week, everybody. God bless, be safe, and have a wonderful week. Thanks for joining us tonight. Bye now.
Thank you.